Join me in this Planet Zoo video where I'm going to be creating a small but high detailed habitat in the deserts of Africa. And it all started here where we are on the grid with the mud column. Once again, if you've seen my videos, I love building small habitats and seeing what I can do, adding a lot of detail. Not all the big ticket animals and all the big habitats are what it's about in Planet Zoo for me. It's trying to do what I can do best in a small space, trying to make a really small habitat for a more small animal have the best habitat possible. And by chance, one of my favorite animals, not just in Planet Zoo but of all time in real life as well, is the meerkat. I have created meerkat habitats in the past. You might have seen some of them videos if you're one of my viewers. If you have, thank you very much for watching my videos. But I wanted to really, one, build it in the desert, and two, give the animal the habitat that it deserves. Now I've progressed and I've got a bit more knowledge of Planet Zoo and I am a bit more of a better builder. I wanted to create an animal which really serves its purpose for the meerkat and gives the best home it can do and the best habitat enclosure it can do for the meerkat. I really do love the animals. They're absolutely adorable, aren't they, the meerkats? I love when they stand up on the two legs, the two back legs. It's just... Anyway, I do digress. This is the habitat structure. This is going to be the main viewing area. I'm going to have two separate viewing areas. We're going to keep it small because it is for small animals, and like I've just said, as high detailed as I possibly can get it. You can see me doing the rotation trick with the mud column to create a circular structure, kind of like an aviary style build here. I've also included the outer habitat barriers to stop our guests getting close to these mesh barriers. We don't want our guests sticking the fingers in the actual mesh, do we? Not functional, but it looks like it is functional. You'll see a lot of that with my builds, and if you watch my previous videos, I always try to make things look as realistic as possible. I've cut this bit out because this is going to create a tunnel into the hard shelter. I then threw that idea right in the bin, well, pretty much, and I just deleted the whole back of the actual area. I wanted different pieces. You can see me just putting the plaster pieces here, and I do actually change them to full mud, what you can see me putting in at the back. You can see how we've replaced the plaster pieces at the back with the mud. I actually forgot to press record when I was building that window. It's just a glass pane, and I've just the same metal pieces what I've used when I was creating that aviary style half circle. I just put them around in the glass pane and made like a little viewing window. But look what I'm doing here. I'm creating a custom wall, which is custom for most of my builds. I love creating custom walls, and I'm just putting some of the plaster pieces to make them look like brick at the bottom, and then just layering the conservation wood pieces at the top to have a wood structure and a plaster base. And then all that's left to do then is just make sure everything is connected. And I can just easily duplicate that over, can't I? I've shown how to do custom walls in tutorials on my channel. If you don't know how to do them, then go and have a look. But yeah, it's so very easy once you know how. And it's all about just lining everything up. I always like to leave one just off skew in case I need to pick it up. That's what you saw me do here. And then we're just going to line the actual building up. This is actually separate to the other mud walls because they're off the grid mud walls, so I don't need to worry about interlocking like groups or grids or anything like that. This is the only grid. This left hand side is what I'm going to work on. Like I said, all the rest on the right hand side with the half circle and the mesh, all off the grid pieces. So we need to build our hard shelter for our animals. This is what this is for. We're going to have a hard shelter, but we're also going to have a backstage area for our zookeepers and stuff like that, with all the backstage props from the conservation pack, like I always do. But you can see me just placing in these now. And just trying to, if you ever see me zooming out, it's me looking at it, seeing how it all come together. And I do suggest you do that. Just pause a minute, zoom out, have a look at the whole build. Is it looking good? Is anything you can change? Can you change anything in a different angle? And I like to work with different angles, which you can probably see with me building this. I've got a circle, I've got straight, and now I'm creating kind of like a square hard shelter for the meerkats. Once I actually created that square, I had to cut out pieces. Now, the reason you've got to cut out pieces, obviously, yeah, well, two pieces really. On one side, the animals need to be able to get into the actual outdoor area where your viewing area is for your guests, leading on to that. But also, you need a door, don't you? You need a door which is capable of fitting not your habitat gate in, or you need a door what fits in access points for your zookeepers. Now, your zookeepers and your vets and everything like that, your janitors will walk through solid structural pieces, so you don't have to actually have a gap. You can just put a prop door if you wish to do so. But when, you know, your zookeepers do walk through a wall, it just looks stupid, doesn't it? I'd rather walk through a gap where I have created to make it look like they're actually using some kind of door. That might be me just being a bit of a perfectionist. It just looks stupid to me when you see zookeepers walking through walls. It really does me head in. You can see just from above now, this is the structure what I've created. Left the gap for the animals to be able to get in and out, and I've left the gap, like I've just said, for our habitat gate and the access point to the habitat for our zookeepers. Now, creating a roof, I went off the grid again. Well, I've shown how to do custom walls and custom roofs before. I'm creating a custom roof here, but I wanted the roof flatter than the on the grid roof pieces. That makes sense. So I just put some off the grid roof pieces which were flatter on the top, and then just duplicated it over like you see me doing. Lower it down and I've got a flatter roof. Then you can see how it's really coming together now. I'll just add this little trim here. This is the access point for the animals to the backstage area. Add a little flooring. It's pretty much done that bit. To the front of where the viewing areas are now, where the mesh and the glass is. I wanted to spruce everything up and add a load of foliage. I always say, and I say it in every single one of my videos, foliage and rockwork in Planet Zoo are king, and that is no change, and that doesn't alter or change when doing small habitats as well. You're adding foliage, you just have to be careful with the amount of foliage you add, because it is a small habitat. I don't want to overdo it, but the outside area is free to do whatever you want. Spruce it up, make it look good from the outside, not just from the inside with your foliage. Add these custom planters, kind of like a planter and a barrier, this, isn't it? Because it stops our guest getting close to the actual mesh and close to the glass, but it also has a nice little bit of foliage inside as well. And I thought, I'm doing the foliage outside, I might as well just carry on with the same foliage types inside as well, just to keep the same theme. Always use different kinds of foliage as well. Get those different colours in there. Think about it like a painting. That's how I like to do. How would it look if it was a painting? You wouldn't just have one piece of green grass or buffalo grass throughout. You would have different trees, different lengths, some sunken into the floor. You'd have different little bits of pebbles and rocks. You can do that with the 4 rocks out the aquatic park. Add a little bit of colour, a little bit of brightness. Add some dead trees like you can see I've done here at the back. Add some bushes. Just mix things up a little bit. Try to make it look like it would do in real life or in a painting like I've just mentioned. Add in loads of different ones now, and I found this, I think this is called a fern. It's like a tropical fern. I've never used it before, I've never even seen it before, and that's the beauty of coming out of my comfort zone here and creating something a little bit more rustic in the desert instead of something modern in grassland. It opens up your eyes. It makes you be introduced into new pieces what you wouldn't normally use, like this barrier for instance, just digging logs into the ground, just like a rustic way of creating a natural kind of like rustic barrier. Just add in all the plants now, all the foliage what we need. And if you see me leaving gaps like you can see here, this is the gaps what I'm going to use for other plants, or I'm going to put little bits of rocks there. You can even leave it bare to make it even look like more realistic, like it's kind of worn away, but just adding little different dead plants here now in the gaps. And once that was filled in, I just completed the inside of the actual habitat as well with the foliage and a little bit of rock work as well. Just layering in once again different kinds of foliage, getting those colours in there. You can see I've added those logs. Them logs are actually by ZSH Plays. They're on the Steam Workshop page. They are brilliant, so give them a search on the Steam Workshop page if you do want some. Works really well with animals like the meerkat and smaller desert style habitats, having those trees in there. Again, layering it down, different types of foliage, different types of colours, and yeah, that's one suggestion. And now I'm going into rocks, and I'm going to use the 4 rocks. Surprise, surprise, I always use the 4 rocks in my build, I know, but they're just brilliant. They just go with every build, and I'm just layering them in between the plants what I've already put down as well, just trying to make it look a little bit more realistic here. I ended up deleting that one in the end as well. It was just too many. We don't need 2, we're only going to have like 4 meerkats in here. So yeah, that's the foliage done. And I just want to show you this because I wasn't happy, and I always say if you're not happy with something, go back and change it. And this hard shelter was doing my head in. I moved the entrance where the habitat gate is going to be to the back. It just made more sense to move it out of the way. And then we had this gap to fill, and because we left one to the back, remember when we're creating our custom walls, we can easily just place that in and fill that gap. And now we can go ahead and build onto the actual backstage area. Not the backstage area, sorry, we can actually build onto the hard shelter with our backstage area. We're going to be using the plaster pieces, and I know I said I'm going to try to avoid using the plaster pieces because it's more rustic build, but you would see plaster pieces in builds like this as well. We're going to make it look a little bit tarnished like we have done with the mud by adding the decals to make it look like it's kind of flaked away a little bit. And yeah, at the end you'll see it doesn't come out looking very modern at all. It does come out looking, couldn't get my words out then, quite rustic with a little bit of modern elements. I couldn't help myself, okay? Yeah, so just filling these gaps in. I've added a congregated metal roof. I think that's it. I could 100% be wrong right there, but I think that's what it's called. So I added that roof. Again, for a more realistic and rustic feel, and we're just filling in these gaps. I went with kind of like a different style roof than I would normally do. I always use flat roofs. I don't know what it is, but they're not that realistic, really, are they? Because they don't drain well from water. I know we're in the desert, but still. And yeah, they get a lot of muck on, fallen leaves and stuff like that. So we do actually end up putting some fallen leaves onto the roof as well. That would have been my #1 tip as well. Remember, always go for realism and everything will come out looking good. But back to the roof. You can see I've added like a slanted roof going up to the extended area. That's where our gate is actually going to be located, because remember we've carried on to from the original build of the actual hard shelter for the animals, so the gate's still in there ready to go to put the habitat gate in. And then we're just going to fill these plaster pieces in now, and I've built kind of like another slanted roof on the other side as well. I don't know why, I don't know what this roof's called, I don't know my theory behind it. I pretty much subconsciously seen it on a roof in real life or on a Google image or something like that. A lot of people ask where I get inspiration from or what kind of like images do I go off. Most of the time it's just off the top of my head, honestly. You see me playing about with ideas now where I want to put the actual entrance. I just keep it simple and put the entrance there to the left hand side. I know a lot of people still struggle when it comes to building custom walls and then putting your habitat gates in, so I'm going to show you how to do it once again. Wherever you've left the gap, like you see me did towards the start when I was creating the hard shelter, that is where you're going to put your habitat gate. And then you're going to simply just run a no barrier all the way around the outside of your custom walls, your custom barriers, whatever you created to keep your animals in. And it's simple as that. You don't even have to be as neat as I'm doing it. I just like to do it neat because that's something what I like to do. But you don't have to. You can be so messy with it as long as it's on the outside. Don't do it through your barriers. Don't do it on the inside of the habitat. Do it on the outside, and your animals, I promise you, will not escape. I always say my #1 tip in Planet Zoo is to create your own barriers or your own walls to keep your animals in, and then just run a no barrier around the outside. It makes everything just look so much better. On the inside of our backstage area, we added a zookeeper's hut, a little wooden trim, some mats, and all the little bits and bobs you'll find in the backstage area, like a control centre and a water point. And turned this hole here into a little closet and added some shelves and some tools. And then went ahead and added a little custom made door as well. Over here, you can see I've left a gap for a window. So that's what I'm going to do. Just add one of the window panes in, even a little shelf with some accessories. Then added some beams, and this is what it looks like when fully in operation. I would love to know why this veterinary surgeon is currently running about with one of my meerkats in the box. Some kind of glitch, I don't know. Frontier, help me. But anyway, if I zoom out, you can see how this habitat is now complete, and it is weird that he's running around with that because the other meerkat is sat quite happily in there. They have got enough space, more than enough. I did worry about that, but they have got enough space because there's only 2 of them. But he's just running back and forth. Yeah, found a little glitch there or something. Maybe I need to report it. But yeah, this is how it came out looking. I am really happy with it. I'll show you what changes I've made. You can see here I've added the same door what we've got on inside, and there is the all important cracks and stuff like that to give it that rustic look. I've added a little planter with fallen leaves just around the edge here. Same with it here as well. I've added some of the fallen leaves down here. I added these down as kind of like a custom path stepping stone. This is a North African plastic column. Never used them before, just thought it looked interesting as like a custom made path. Obviously, I had to add in all the things that the actual meerkats needed, like the water and the enrichment items and stuff like that. I added a little backdrop here where the water is. And I did a custom made gate here as well. This is very simple. This is 2 of the mesh gates, and I just put show you what it is now. The Planet Zoo sign bracket. I use this a lot as handles. I just put that on it, and yeah, it kind of looks like a little gate, doesn't it? What can move up and down to block them off into this area. Where I've put hay down, by the way, straw, hay, whichever you want to call it. That's down anyway, so they can sleep and have a little bit of privacy in here away from the guest. On the roof, like I said I would do, I added some leaf litter and just some like aircon units and stuff like that you would find. This actually leads into the backstage area out here and then blows out of there. And there we go. I really hope you liked this habitat. I will put it on my Steam Workshop page, so if you do want it in your own zoo, you can do. But I will encourage you to start building your own stuff. Don't always rely on blueprints. But if you want to see little bits of details what I've done, then that's ideal to download it off the Steam Workshop page and pick it apart and see how I've done little bits. But hopefully this video explains the majority of that. Anyway, if you liked this video and it did help you in some way or inspire you in some way, please hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed to my videos, I create loads of different Planet Zoo videos, from speed build videos like you've watched today in this video, and loads of tutorials and step-by-step guides also. I'll leave you with Mr. Meerkat. My name's Adam. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.